so you can join me in the live discussion. There I am. Okay, now everybody can sort of maybe lose their lunch or whatever seeing my face. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everybody in Dayton and El Paso, I hope they're healing. It's going to take a long time to heal those wounds. Big time, okay? Now, today, I'm going to talk about sex. Oh, yeah. Almost everybody's favorite subject. Sitting around the water cooler, maybe telling jokes they share on Facebook. That's where the Art of Relationship show is broadcasting. I am your host, as always, Greg Dudzinski. I'm a fully licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. Have been for a long, long time, almost 2 decades now. So hopefully everybody's doing okay. And going to help you with sexual insecurities, and are they holding your relationship back? And I told everybody as I drank my pot and a half of coffee a day. Yeah, that's true. Pot and a half a day. I drink it black, so I'm healthy, okay? So looking at the situation about sexual insecurities, and do they actually cause a problem in your relationship about holding back? And it's not ironic, I guess somewhat sad that those people that have sexual insecurities, they usually hold back with sexual desire, okay? They might feel stuff, they might fantasize, but they have maybe shame and guilt with their own sexual insecurities, so they stop or they block their sexual satisfaction and sexual pleasure in their relationship. And when that happens, we all know, or most people know, I don't want to stereotype, but when a sexual relationship sort of ceases or it's held back in a relationship or a marriage, chances are there's going to be problems in the relationship, and it's just a matter of time where one of them are going to have an affair, or the relationship is going to cease, it's going to end, or you will feel totally disconnected, and it'll always feel that way if the relationship does continue, okay? Again, a lot of people stay for a lot of varieties. They stay for the kids, for money, finances. They're afraid of being alone, a lot of stuff, instead of dealing with the issues. And today, I'm going to be talking about sexual insecurities and which ones do you have that are causing problems in your relationship. And a lot of people, let's get one out of the way. I think maybe the one most prevalent in relationships is body shaming, okay? This is where, body shaming is when you're self-shaming, I should say. When you are allowing your sexual freedom, your sexual, comfort levels, they're not out there. You're not allowing them to flourish and to be free sexually with your partner in a relationship because of body image. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat. And I talked about this on numerous shows in the past, but talking about, the sexual insecurities where you can feel you don't have to worry about that, would that be great? Would you be able to concentrate not only on your own sexual pleasure, but your partner's sexual pleasure as well, and not only the physical pleasure, what about the emotional and psychological pleasure of each other, instead of you always worrying about, oh my God, I hope he don't touch me there, he's going to feel my fat roll, he's going to do this, or she's going to know maybe I'm not that hung, or maybe I'm too fat. Yeah, men have body issues as well, and they shame themselves sexually. They're not hung enough, not big enough, they're too skinny, they have, a dad bod, and it's maybe a lot bigger than a dad bod, and they have sexual issues, insecurities as well with body image, and it's very difficult, okay, I'm going to throw it out there, I think it's almost impossible for you to be fully at ease sexually if you are worried about your body aspects, okay, like I just mentioned, the body image aspects. How can you be fully comfortable and at ease sexually, not only with your partner, but with yourself, if you are holding back on these aspects and you're always worried about the body image? I'm not, I'm too big, too small, whatever it is, okay? And you're not able to focus and be totally present in the lovemaking and the sexual process, if you will, because you're so worried about, oh my God, the candles, if you do have candles, they're too bright. They're going to see my shadow. It's going to make me look this way, that way. Oh my God, I can never have sex in the daylight with the lights on. It's got to be fully black where my partner can't see me. Or you don't want your partner touching certain areas, like I mentioned, because, oh my God, he'll feel my cellulite. She'll feel my big gut. Whatever it is, okay? So want to get rid of these aspects, and what would it take for you to be comfortable in your own skin so you can just focus on enjoying giving and receiving sexual pleasure and the emotional connection? You don't have to worry about that. I hear it all the time. I get, oh my God, my lady doesn't, when we make love or she goes to bed, she never sleeps in the nude, or when we make love, she never, has sex without her shirt on, and it just feels like there's a break, that skin-to-skin connection that people crave and you feel, and you can just feel that skin-to-skin connection, and not just your hands, but your full body. Greg, you know what? It like puts a connection, it blocks me in a way, because she never has sex, with their shirt off, worried about her boobs aren't too big, or they're too saggy, or worried about, her belly being too big, or that type of thing. Or, women, you suffer, I call, the battle scars, maybe of having a C-section, or, some people have their gallbladder out, appendix out, and there's little scars. Call them battle wounds or battle scars, right? Own them. You know what? That there's nothing wrong with them. And what would be more important, holding back because of your sexual insecurities, or fully, embracing who you are, how you are now? And if you want to work on, losing weight or toning up a little bit, yeah, you can do that, absolutely. But what would it take for you to accept your body how it is now? Other, sexual insecurities, let's face it, they come on to about the sad aspect about slut shaming, about, being a whore, being a slut type of aspect, and good girls don't like this, good women don't like this, these type of aspects, and you need to get these out of your head, okay? These are incorrect, and these are perceptions thrown out there by religious leaders, religious organizations, very conservative aspects. Hey, Sabrina, hey, welcome. Hopefully everyone is doing okay your way, Sabrina, and I hope life is doing awesome for you. So, with sexual insecurities, they can come from, like I said, religious views, and a lot of people that are so conservative that they shame people for being a certain way, for enjoying their sexuality, from owning their sexuality, okay? They're so afraid, and some people hold back sexually because I don't want to ever be that bad boy. I want to be a nice guy, kind, loving, whatever. But you can also be a sexual god or goddess and own your sexuality. So a lot of sexual insecurities might come from improperty. Oh, better every day. Awesome, Sabrina. I'm glad you are. And going back on, Sabrina, I got to maybe ask you if you have any sexual insecurities, to throw them out, or maybe if you did before, what'd you do to get past those and maybe help, the fellow viewers and listeners out there to the show? That would help. And a lot of people, going back to, I don't want to bash, religion. I respect everybody's beliefs, but a lot of people will inflict their own views and their own biases and judgment going back on, if a woman likes this, if if you're a woman and you like, doggy style, or you like oral sex, and you're a slut, you're a whore, you're all this stuff. No, you're not. And that's where I want you to get rid of, where did these beliefs come from? Who shaped your sexual values and sexual morals? Was it your parents? Was it religion's group? Was it, different organizations? And who says they are right? Were you able to ever challenge those and look at, I like this, and this doesn't make me a slut or a whore? And it works, for both genders, right? And there should not be, we know there still is, that stigma that, men, it's okay for them to be dogs, but women better not be. You know what? You need to get rid of that and be able to own yourself and own your own sexual identity and not have those insecurities associated with the values and norms of, religious zealots out there or religious groups or very conservative aspects out there that are trying to shame everybody. It's the same one that still believe, being gay or lesbian, that, oh, it's a choice and they're just doing it to piss their parents off. Get real. Those people don't have the research to back it up. And you have to understand that biases, other people's judgments don't have to be yours, okay? That you can be free to have your own morals and your own values, and what you do with your own body should be up to you, and it shouldn't be determined by me, by anybody else, okay, to get rid of that. So a lot of maybe sexual insecurities, oh, I was quite the wild woman. Oh, you brag it, own it. Been on hiatus from sex for, is that, no, I gotta ask you, maybe unprofessional, but that's me. You know what, does that talk, is that on hiatus from sex, does that include self-love and self-pleasuring? Ooh, would that? I'm just asking. But getting back to those type of aspects that, where did your sexual identity, your sexual morals, your sexual values, where were they shaped from? Were they shaped from society, from culture, from religion, those type of aspects? And you know what, have you ever challenged them that you like what you like and it's not wrong? Sexual pleasure is a human entity. It's a human trait, if you will. I feel sorry for the one I end up with. I'm going to tear them. Oh, so hilarious. You're going to go nuts and wild, aren't you? And they're going to love it. They might run from a while. They might run from a while in all that aspect. See? That you can be, or we can go on to other aspect. Not only, how sexual insecurities cause problems in a relationship, and it holds relationships back. And as I've said many times, being able to talk about sex, your likes, your wants, your desires, your fantasy with your partner, that is one of the most intimate things that you can do, right? And it takes courage. It does not take, if you want to say fear, to do it. Fear causes you not to do it. It takes courage. It takes confidence to be able to talk about, you know what, I'm insecure about this. I would like to try this, but I think it might be wrong because I was brought up this way or that way. What would it take to challenge your own sexual insecurities and look at, number one, where did they come from? Who formed them? And why do they have this power over you? And when there are sexual insecurities, as I mentioned before, they will cause problems in a relationship that you are not fully involved. They're fully embracing your sexuality, and it cuts across the relationship dynamics of the emotional and psychological connection as well. It's just the way that it does. Now you can have, I've had couples in my office that, you know what, I've said before, they have sex once a year, and that's not why they see me. They're both okay with that. And I'm not saying that's an issue. It's when there are totally two different domains or aspects, if you will, or two different paradigms of sexual values and morals in a relationship where there's going to be a lot of clash. And it could be sexual frequency. It could be also sexual pleasures or sexual, if you want to say, acts. You know what? One person only wants to do it maybe missionary, and the other one wants to be all over the place and do it, a variety of different ways. It's going to cause problems in the relationship. And people can lie, they can BS themselves and say that, our sex life has no bearing on our relationship, or sex should not have, that importance of impact on our relationship or marriage. And I'm going to say, you know what, that's up to you. I'm not saying it has to. That's up to each individual, and I'm not here to judge or be biased, nor should anybody else that, has the influence to, judge what your sexual practices or likes or dislikes should be. You know what? it's up to you and your partner. But if they clash, it's going to create a huge issue. And the insecurities could also come from, right? Sexual insecurities could come from trauma. They can come from sexual abuse. They can come from, being raped as well. And it's very difficult that a lot of people have sexual insecurities or hang-ups because of these aspects. And it sounds simple, and it takes a lot more than just one episode to talk about. But with the sexual abuse and sexual rape and other sexual traumas, that I tell people, sex isn't bad. It's the person that did those things. They're the ones that were bad. They're the ones that were the monsters, right? You get to own your sexuality. You get to have pleasure from it, as we were made, as we, the body's intended to enjoy sexual pleasure. No one should be able to take that away from you. And it's hard to imagine when, the rape survivors and sexual trauma, survivors have endured all that. They associate sex as bad. Sex is about control. Sex is about, everybody else. And no, it doesn't have to be that way. You can own your sexuality and separate your sexual pleasures and your sexual appetite from that of the monster that, say, raped you or that sexually abused you. There's a difference between that. Sex is not bad. It's there to be enjoyed and to be, pleasurable, and about both being able to give and receive. And if it is only about one person in the relationship, chances are that's not a good thing, and you are not in maybe a partnership when it comes down to your own pleasure, because that matters, okay? What other sexual insecurities would you have? You know what? Maybe about trying something new. Let's face it, different position. Or maybe you've never given oral, but you've received oral. And would you be able to, talk about it and own it and say, you know what, I might not be good at this, but damn it, I'm going to learn. I'm going to be great at it. I'm going to love it, and freaking, you're going to be the best you've ever had, that type of aspect. Hey, me, hey, welcome. Talk about it. Everything and anything. Sexual insecurities come from body image insecurities too. Been raped too. I just tell the person in certain situations I will be in control and to not do blank because it can trigger me. Just be honest. And you must have just chimed in, Amy. I just talked about this with sexual traumas, rape survivors, sexual abuse growing up, that type of aspects. And, and what would it take? And I know certain things definitely trigger, but I look at, why would certain things trigger you if you were fully healed, that type of aspect. And again, I'm not bashing you. And like I said before you chimed in, it's a huge deal. I don't make light of it. I don't, believe me, it's not easy to deal with. And I've dealt with literally hundreds of sexual trauma survivors over the years, rape survivors, sexual abuse, especially in kids, literally probably thousands over the years, not just hundreds. But looking at, would you be able to look at the situation and be able to own your sexuality where there aren't any triggers, and you can, I love this, I want this. And again, it's not the sexual act or anything about sex that holds power over you. It's the monsters that did the raping. It's the monsters that did the sexual abuse acts to you. It's that. It's not sex per se, but it's very difficult, as a lot of people know. The sexual trauma survivors, they know it's not that easy to be able to separate it and associate it, and that's where those the triggers, and they need to be worked at and processed on a conscious level, and get out of your the sensory memory aspects to be able to put those to rest, so those triggers don't come back. And you can like a certain sexual act without it being triggered. I'm not saying it's easy, but it takes work, and it takes, being able to own your own sexual identity and look at, I like this, and I'm not going to, as Amy said, I'm not going to allow anybody in my past to hold power over my sexuality. I'm going to own it. So a lot of, the sexual insecurities that come from trauma and that come from body image aspects are an ordeal in a lot of relationships, and it blocks people from getting closer, as close as possible that they could be, because of their sexual insecurities. And I would love to have people challenge me on this, and I love to be challenged. I like to be, and I'm not saying my theory, this is just, my theory, and it has been over the years, that when you have those sexual insecurities, or you have different value systems when it comes down to sex, or one person loves oral sex and the other one hates oral sex, that type of thing, that it's going to create problems in a relationship. And it comes down to, our sexual incompatibilities in your relationship, not only are they maybe about frequencies, but our sexual incompatibilities in your relationship, are they also maybe associated with the sexual insecurities that you hold within yourself? And you know what? Would you be able to own it, regardless what your body looks like, and own your sexuality, that you want to try something, that you like this, and you're not shamed about it, that, yeah, I just own it, I like it, who cares, right? That type of aspect. I don't care who cares what they think, I'm going to own it because I enjoy it. It's my life, it's my sexuality, and I don't want to have to be shamed. And we can go into shaming, people still shame, and it's sad that they still shame same-sex, relationships and sexuality aspect, which is a shame. It should be about two consenting adults, or consenting adults, I should say. Not everybody else should dictate what is right and what is wrong for you sexually, okay? It takes really trusting your partner to get over situations like that. And Amy, you are absolutely right. It's not only trusting your partner, it's also about trusting yourself, if that makes sense. It is about looking at those aspects, about trusting yourself and owning your own sexuality and saying, I like this and I'm not going to be shamed by it. So it is a huge thing about the sexual, insecurities, and dealing with a lot of, rape survivors and that type of aspect over the years. They won't allow, say, the man, they've never had an orgasm with a man because of their sexual insecurities about the power aspect about sex. And that, I'm never going to have a man, give me an orgasm. I'm not going to have them have that power over me. And I said, that's the power within you to give yourself. That you allow yourself to orgasm and that you be pleasured. And it shouldn't be about someone holding power over you, but it's not that easy, especially with rape survivors and about, sexual abuse growing up. It's always about someone else having power over you, but it's about that person having power, not about the sexual act. And again, it is about separating the aspects too. Amy, you mentioned how many issues stem from side effects from medications too. That's a big deal, but that's a huge important deal. But that might not necessarily stem or maybe associate with sexual insecurities, other than the desire aspect. And maybe some people are shamed because they're not horny enough. They're too horny, and people try to shame their partners if they have less desire. And that's where we could say about the sexual insecurities about, not having sexual desire or a lack thereof. And that could come from definitely medication aspects. It could come from, diabetes medication. It can come from definitely blood pressure medication, antidepressant, mood stabilizers. We all know that. We could go on and on and on about different, people with cancer, going through chemotherapy, radiation, that type of aspect definitely can kill your sex drive. And that would be a type of thing where, you could have insecurities. And I never want people to have sex out of obligation. You get me? That is a turnoff in itself, that they have sexual insecurities, but I'm going to do this just because my partner loves it, and they know I don't like it or don't enjoy it, but I'm going to do it anyways. Hell no. For me personally, that's a huge turnoff. I want someone that's going to love it, that's going to enjoy it, not only giving that pleasure, but also receiving it from me. It's a huge aspect. So coming up with certain medications or medical conditions in general, Amy, big time. it can create, the sexual insecurities that can create problems. But again, as you stated, it's so crucial to be able to talk about it and talk about anything and everything regarding sex, sexual pleasures, fantasies, wants, not wants. And because I talk about sexual insecurities, that doesn't mean that you don't have sexual boundaries. Not at all. But again, I want you to look at, where are those sexual boundaries? Who made them up? Where do they come from? And do they apply, or should they apply in your life? Okay? And why do they have power over you? So I want you to challenge those. Not for me. 3 kids and I'm a hornball. LOL. Amy, damn it. Quit bragging. No. Oh, she mentioned to Jennifer's comment, having a baby changes everything for a woman. And then Amy mentioned, not for me, 3 kids and I'm a hornball. In a lot of aspects, in the insecurities, and that, that comes down to a lot of aspects. Maybe sexual insecurities come from, women. Like I mentioned, number one at the beginning was about body image aspects. That, women having kids, and their hips maybe get wider, their stomach, they have stretch marks, right? And I talked about associating, some women having C-sections, and I talked about at the beginning of this episode about having those battle scars, and to be able to own that, say, yep, that's what it is, I'm a woman, and be able to own that. So sometimes having kids, it also can mess with your hormones aspects. These are medical aspects, but the desire aspect, is it associated with sexual insecurities, or is it a medical aspect like estrogen levels, testosterone levels, thyroid issues can, wreak havoc on a lot of aspects, mood, desire, all those aspects with the thyroid. So is it a medical condition, or is it an actual sexual insecurity aspects caused by childbirth because of body image aspects? And not only body image aspects, some women, natural childbirth, and they assume, oh, my vagina isn't beautiful anymore, it's ugly since I had kids and it got stretched out, and all these insecurities that go along with it, that could be myths, that could be just in a woman's own head. And a lot of, men, they have sexual insecurities too, right? Let's face it, right? Not lasting long enough, maybe coming too quick to the party, if you will, blowing it too quick, right? Maybe not being big enough, not being hard enough as we age. That type of aspect. Maybe I'm not going to rock her world. I'm not, sexual insecurities about performance, right? That I'm not going to be good enough to, give her an orgasm. Or some woman, if a man doesn't come, or a man goes limp inside of her, oh my God, he's not turned on by me. So there are also, performance anxieties associated, or performance insecurities associated with sexual aspects. The number one thing, people, you need to be able to, talk about them and feel, not only your partner makes you feel safe about them, but a lot of times your partner might want to be able to talk about anything, sexually anything. It's just inside of you that you're insecure about talking about them, okay? And it could be vice versa. You could be wide open. I'm wide open about talking about anything sexually, where maybe your partner is maybe not so much, where they're a lot more rigid and a lot more conservative. And then I tell people it will create an issue in your relationship, because you will be in a relationship and it'll feel like you're just half-assing it, if you know what I mean. That a lot of times it'll turn into just going through the motions. And Jennifer, you mentioned about, emotionally, hormonally, and I touched on hormonally and mentally, and I'd love to be able to, touch on that. And I get the emotional aspects of it, definitely the hormonal aspects, how it can affect. But we know, there's testosterone treatment for women. If they have, their testosterone levels, we all know it's a lot lower than men, but they can be able to go through the elements and be able to look at where testosterone injections or testosterone and treatment for women can also help in the desire aspect, okay? Amy, all women are beautiful. Only a woman can give life. Absolutely. Own those stripes and scars. Hey, quit stealing my words, Amy. That's what I said. No, you're fine. Someone doesn't like your stretch marks. Trust me, someone does. Oh, hell yeah. Own that. It's not only about your body image that your partner's attracted to, it's what's inside. And that's absolutely, right? Your sexual identity, your sexual insecurities can be changed big time by your sexual attitude. Owning it. Owning what you like and not being ashamed of it, and not being able to, have anyone else judge you or create shame against you or bias against you because of your own sexual appetite, what you love and what you want sexually. Own it, okay? Own your body. Own, the battle scars, as I mentioned before, and to be able to go after it. And you know what? You want to be with someone that also appreciates your sexual being, your sexual identity. And if you two clash in those aspects, I tell people often it's going to create issues in a relationship. And some people, I say, not that sex is the end-all be-all in a relationship, but it's a huge part for most people. Again, for most. It's not up to me to decide that. It's up to you to decide that. When sex is an issue in a relationship, chances are everything else is going to fall apart around it. Emotional, right? The emotional aspect, the psychological safety, the emotional connection will start to deteriorate, and you will start living as roommates. You won't be able to talk about anything because defenses start going up, resentment starts going up, and they are built up by feeling not desired, not maybe appreciated, not feeling sexy, not feeling loved. All these issues I deal with on a daily basis, and I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to be able to own your sexuality, own what you love sexually, and don't allow others to pass judgment or to shape your own values and morals around sex, okay? So, you need to be able to own that aspect and be able to love it, okay? Big time. Jennifer, one thing before I say goodbye. You made a comment, nice to see women being kind to each other. Jennifer, I can tell you there are a lot of women that follow me that are actually very nice to each other and very, very supportive to each other. Amy, Sabrina, they are definitely two people that help support other women. They're great, great ladies. And you're going to find there, believe it or not, I know women can be cruel to each other. They can be judgmental. They can be very jealous. They can shame one another, and they shouldn't do that. I agree. I'm not for that. Women can be catty. We all know that. But there are a lot of nice women out there, just like Amy and Sabrina, that chimed in on the show. And believe it or not, there's a lot more women out there that are all about supporting women and women's empowerment and about building up women's self-confidence and self-esteem. It's out there, believe it or not. I can give a lot of proof of that. So thanks so much for tuning in to the Art of Relationship show. Thanks again, Jennifer, Amy, Sabrina, for chiming in and your wise inputs as always. I appreciate you very much. Catch the Art of Relationship show every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time, right here on Facebook Live. You can check out my Instagram, Detroit's Love Guru, Twitter, YouTube as well, okay? I appreciate you, everybody, for supporting the show and helping me try to help as many people possible out there that I can, okay? That's my dream. That's my goal, is to keep helping people out there have terrific, dynamic, healthy, and happy relationships out there, okay? Everybody, take care. My website, theartofrelationships.org. As always, peace and love.